Hi everyone, and welcome. It's me, your friendly neighborhood college counselor, Chandra, and I'm back again today to talk about a very important part of the college admissions process. Obviously, you apply to college in your 12th grade, but let's rewind a couple years, and maybe a couple years before that to 9th grade, right? And we want to start thinking about how we can actually start building your extracurriculars that are actually going to stand out to the top most competitive selective universities, okay? So today we're going to talk about the activities, the extracurriculars that are actually going to be worth your time to do outside of school, and maybe some of the activities that are really not going to add that much value to your ultimate application, so you don't have to waste too much time on that off the bat. Okay, so let's take a step back and think about, why do we even care about extracurriculars? I thought I'm applying to an academic institution of higher learning. Aren't my academics what matter here? Yes, of course your academics matter. You need to be performing at the top of your class, getting the best grades in the most rigorous curriculum. We all agree on that. But unfortunately, that's not enough to get you into the top colleges anymore. Acceptance rates are becoming more and more competitive, as you know, and the US and most colleges around the world now are adopting a holistic admissions process, which means they evaluate you as an entire person, not just as a set of numbers or grades. So what does that mean for us? It means that the time that you spend outside of the classroom doing activities that are fulfilling, rewarding, and that demonstrate the qualities that universities are looking for are increasingly very, very important to getting you into where you want to go. So let's figure out what kind of extracurriculars you need to be doing to get into the college of your dreams. So if you're wondering where to start, you're in luck, okay? So no college prefers one activity over the other, right? It's not like they're only looking for athletes or only looking for musicians or only looking for entrepreneurs. They actually want to curate their freshman class with a wide variety and diversity of students who are interested in all kinds of different things, right? So what they're really interested in is the end goal, or the final outcome of whatever extracurricular it is that you have chosen to dive deep into, okay? And let's get into the 4 kind of major attributes that colleges are looking for in an extracurricular profile that is going to really work in your favor when it comes time to applying. And the first and most important one is leadership. Okay, so leadership is an attribute where you as a student really stand up and take initiative to lead people around you, okay? You're not just a participant in a club, you're not just a follower, but you are actually taking charge and translating ideas into action in the real world, okay? So you can definitely explore leadership at school first, right? That's a great community to begin rising up within. That could look like being head of your student council. That could look like founding or leading any number of clubs at your school. Okay, that could also mean taking charge of ongoing projects or initiatives that your school has, heading up the service council, for example, among other things. But then there's also leadership outside of school. So if you don't have any leadership roles at school, I would really encourage you to explore trying to get elected for those. But B, you can also be a leader in your community, right? And that means perhaps launching your own nonprofit initiative, right? Mobilizing people in your community, gathering and organizing them, motivating people, and being their manager, right? Creating systems, creating processes in such a way that deliverables are actually kind of met on time. And that's really what management and leadership is all about. And if you're wondering why colleges are looking for this trait, it's because they really want students who are going to go and become leaders in the world afterwards, after they graduate, who are going to go on to be the future presidents and prime ministers, or who are going to rise up in companies or maybe take charge and lead activist movements. Okay, this all looks really good for the university that it will become your alma mater. And ultimately, I think they're probably going to hope that you're going to turn around and donate back to your university, or maybe talk about how that university was so important in your journey. So try and highlight leadership as much as possible. It's going to go a long way. The next quality that we're looking for in extracurriculars is very, very important. That is social impact. How have you tangibly and measurably improved the lives of some people around you in your community? Okay, and that can be anyone, any type of community, and every student has a different social cause that they feel passionate about, but ultimately the goal of any project or extracurricular that you're a part of should be to add value to society, to help people around you. Ultimately, that's what we're all here for in the first place, okay? So you want to start demonstrating that orientation towards service, because as you all know, almost every university's mission or motto has something to do with service to society. And you want to show that this is already something that's in your blood. It's already something that you care deeply, deeply about, okay? And it could be about any number of different social issues that are close to your heart. For example, you could talk about the underprivileged children who suffer from cleft lips, for example. Or you could talk about young women who are struggling with their body image. You could look into a community in a rural village that does not have access to electricity, right? Whatever that problem in the world is that you'd like to solve, you need to then harness your intellectual or academic interests toward finding an innovative and creative, unique, unconventional solution to help those people and markedly improve their lives in a way where you can actually point to a quantitative impact or improvement. Okay, so for example, if you're really interested in engineering or in physics and you just finished your solar energy chapter at school, well, maybe you apply those principles of solar power and help install solar panels in a village that has no power, enabling thousands of people with 24/7 uninterrupted electricity, right? That is a way where you can really help people's lives and demonstrate to colleges that you are out here to really make a change in the world. So colleges are also looking for commitment. They want to see students who pick one thing and really stick to it and have the follow through that demonstrates that they really care about any activity or project that they're working on, okay? So the duration or the longevity of the extracurricular is very, very important. And we want to see kids getting started in 9th grade itself. Maybe not at such a high scale or at such a high level, but beginning to take those steps in and then really, really carrying that forward over months or even over years. Because they want to see students who are going to come to the college and also show commitment and dedication in anything that they end up doing. So that duration is surprisingly important when it comes to evaluating student applications, especially at the most selective universities. Finally, what's really going to make your extracurriculars stand out is something called the X factor, or that masala factor that we are looking for from every single student, okay? And that means that you're not just doing the activities that every other high school student is doing. You're not just doing the MUNs and the debate club and participating in a variety of extracurriculars, but you are doing something special. Now, there are a couple ways to get at this amorphous, kind of ambiguous vibe that is the X factor, right? Number one is to be really, really, really excellent at something. So we had a student a couple years ago who was a passionate swimmer. Cool. Many students are passionate swimmers. But this student actually swam across the English Channel from France to England. Okay? That is an X factor. Doing something at such a high level of excellence that would impress any admissions officer, right? But if you're thinking to yourself, look, there's no way I'm gonna be an international level tennis player in the next couple of years. that's fine. There are other ways, more unconventional ways to back into this X factor. If you find something that's really quirky and unique about yourself, that really makes you different from all your other peers, you can use that to your advantage. For example, we had another student a couple years ago who was really into beatboxing, okay? He just beatboxed like crazy, and that was just something that we hardly saw any students doing at the time, or we still never see kids like that. So he really made beatboxing a big part of his essays and his application, and that stood out to Princeton, and they wanted that kid who's gonna be quirky and interesting on the college campus. And finally, the last way to get an X factor, and unfortunately not a lot of this is in our control, but an X factor can also be like a really compelling, powerful personal story, okay? So if you have had a really remarkable, upbringing in these extraordinary circumstances, right? For example, we had a student who grew up in a prison. That's a compelling story that I want to hear more about. If students are able to excel and thrive and succeed in spite of very difficult and challenging circumstances, you're demonstrating a level of grit, persistence, determination, that would make for a really, really interesting application and a great addition to any college campus. We've had other students whose, unfortunately, parents sort of suffered with alcoholism or drug abuse, or maybe parents who left them and they had to occupy important family responsibilities, take care of their siblings. We had another student who suffered from severe hearing loss. Okay, how did he navigate that? How did he transform that so-called challenge or obstacle into his greatest strength, right? How did he make that into a positive? How did he have that optimistic outlook in life that is going to continue to propel him to success, right? So all of these different factors combine are what's going to make for an extracurricular profile that's going to dazzle admissions officers, and that's going to make the readers really want to fight and advocate for you to get accepted into their university. So today we learned all about what makes a standout extracurricular profile. I hope you learned something. I encourage you to take these lessons and roll with it, make it your own. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be, an interesting process for you, so don't stress out too much. And this is me, your friendly neighborhood college counselor, signing off once again. I'll see you next time.